Howdy, guys. This is Nate, an investigator. You'll notice that Matt is unfortunately missing. If you saw the announcements in Discord, then you know that Matt was called away. But that's okay. That allows us the opportunity to, the mice will play while the cat's away type situation. So um, this will be a lot more casual town hall. We're going to just kind of sit back and chill. Harry and I, we'll talk about some stuff. We'll answer some questions. We'll do the normal town hall thing, but expect a little bit more of a chill vibe today. And if we end up closing things down early because people only want to hear straight from Matt, then that's understandable. We all want to hear from Matt. So I think a good place to start is where we normally start, is with Harry, the famous investigator who can kind of help us understand, hey, what's going on? What can we expect in the very short term? And by short term, I mean heck, Tuesday, which is coming around the corner. So what's going on there, Harry?
Good morning, Pretoria. So we've got the update coming up this Tuesday with a couple big items in it. So the first item of note is we will be adding different chests to the Flint shop. The current random reward card draws will be getting replaced with new random loot chests. So these will be a little more in line with what you used to get from the old quest and focus rewards. You will have a chance of getting potions, cards of all rarities.
Tell me the good stuff, Harry.
Merits.
Tell me the good stuff.
And the good stuff, so this was what made this more complicated, bonus energy. So we have also made it so that you can have more than 50 energy on your account, because you can open chests and get bonus energy, which will let you play more games. And then the big thing, there are going to be very small percentage jackpot prizes in these random chests. So we've got we've got a list of prizes, which I've got a lot of tabs here, so let me go bring that up.
Well, now while you're doing that, Harry, I think that for the community, it's still stinking in what you just said about, wait a minute, energy could go past the 50 limit. So you heard that right. Like I think I played games, and you guys have probably played games too with some sort of energy parameter. And the game, and this one will as well, allow you to exceed 50. Now you might have 200 energy, at which point it's not until it gets down to 50 and below, or below 50, that you start regenerating those points again. But the fact that you can kind of spill over 50 is quite an interesting mechanic. So we'll see how that plays out. But so far, from when I look at it, it sounds kind of cool. Sounds sort of interesting, and it adds a kind of interesting meta. Because if you're like me, and I play games, if you have any kind of min max sensibility, right, then you want to optimize your energy, and you want to make sure that it's always regenerating. It's not sitting stale at the max. So we'll see what players do with this, but I think it should be pretty interesting.
So for our initial jackpot prizes, we will be providing beta packs, plot tokens, various gold foil legendary cards. We will also be putting in a chance to get one of the glint titles. So 50 of the proven titles, 20 of the veteran titles, and 5 of the renowned titles, as long as those are still available. They'll be sharing the same supply with the shop of limited titles. So if people get them in the chest, it'll reduce the number in the shop. And if they sell out in the shop, then they won't be available in the chests anymore. We also will repopulate prizes as they get won with other packs and valuable things. So hopefully that will be something exciting for people to spend the glint on. There will be 3 different types of chests. Minor, major, and ultimate. I don't know if Nate has a handy eye candy for those. But
when you say ultimate, you have to use the movie trailer voice. Ultimate.
yeah, which each have increasing chances of better rewards, though they also have increasing glint cost. We should have a post up. I think we're looking at tomorrow, detailing the different percentages and all the details on the chests. So that's one of the major features. The other major feature that we should have out is the trade hub. So people will be able to swap around their grain and DEC in the game finally. It's been up on the Mavs QA for the past week or so. We're probably going to try to update it with some more UI, UX feedback from Nate and his team, probably today or tomorrow, and maybe reset the pool so people can do some fresh testing with that. Otherwise, let me bring up the list of updates. So we also have some other important updates. So we fixed an issue where accounts without spellbooks were not getting reset properly in rank at end of season, which we found because we currently have the liquidity bots running in modern and noticed that they did not reset properly. We fixed the issue with starter cards still showing up as playable on your collection in the wild format. Something that some internal staff have been asking for a long time. We will be adding a direct link to conflicts onto the main header. We did some cleanup of end of season display. It's currently only showing the modern badge, even if you finished higher in wild.
Now I want to interject real quick because I want to. If you guys say we don't listen to you, Royal Eagle and Lilyfire make sure that we listen to you because they know I was so against putting the conflicts icon in the primary nav. I was like, no, stop adding more icons. It's getting too big. We're breaking the responsiveness. Let me just change the navigation and then that'll be resolved. But no, don't want to do it. And they kept saying, well, the community wants it though, Nate. They want it. Don't care. They want it. And so finally, especially Lilyfire, she wore me down. She says, you know what? The players want it. So I'm like, okay, fine. So you guys got you'll show in the primary nav, you'll see a little wagon, and you go straight to conflicts. And then someday, when the primary nav has the full revamp that I'm hoping for, then you're just gonna have a play and a drop down, and it's like, what do you want to play? Do you want to play rank play? Do you want to play brawls? Do you want to play tournaments? Do you want to play freaking conflicts? Do you want to play, hopefully we have an expanding list in our ecosystem of different game modes and way that you could utilize your assets. So we'll see how that goes. And we've explored some prototyping along the way on what that looks like. And so far it's looking pretty cool. All the different ideas being thrown around in terms of that. But in the short term, yes, just wanted to call out to the community and give props to the support team for championing what the community is yearning for. So carry on.
Let's see. We cleaned up an incorrect reference that's still out there for gladiators being burnt for DEC. Some more important updates. We did some cleanup on how screen readers pick up card information, which was based on some feedback from one of our blind users. So I know that the experience has gotten a little bit worse as we moved to tech modernization because we lost a lot of our screen reader coding. So we are working to put that back in. We took a big pass through the new client's sound handling and fixed a whole bunch of places where we're using the wrong volume setting, where it was playing things off of your music setting when it was actually a sound effect or a notification. fixed a bunch of incorrect references to older versions of the sound files when Nate's team had given us newer remastered ones. So there should be a lot better sound quality throughout the new client, as well as if you turn music down but turn the effects up, you should still hear them now, as opposed to getting weird behavior.
That's right. Where are we at? This is probably the worst time during a live stream, Harry, to talk about a triage task. But did we ever reduce the volume? I'm trying to remember. I know we had this
We
discussion
did,
before.
yeah. The default volume for new players is now, I believe, 10% for most things.
Okay. So one thing, if you guys are listening to this, if you guys ever been in the game and you have the volume turned on and then you go to a web page and then it's like bam, it's just blaring in your face. You feel like, whoa. And then you quickly, like you have one hand over your ear and the other hand on the settings, and you're like, mute that crap. And then it goes away and you're like, oh my God, relief. And then you never went back. You never went back to turn music on in the game again. And you're missing out. So we've hopefully addressed that. If you go back and get your settings just right, or if you're a new player starting the game, it's not that blaring craziness. It's a nice subtle volume, hopefully. And if any one of you guys start messing around with the default settings and find that it's still too loud, then please let us know, and we'll bring it down even more, because I really want people to enjoy and experience the music and sound effects and all the stuff, without feeling like it's either distracting or it's imposing upon your experience. It's supposed to uplift your experience, not the other way around. So if the volume settings aren't quite right, then it'll do the reverse of what we intend. So I encourage you guys to give it another shot. Enjoy the game with all the features, with all the audio. A lot of work went into that, and it's beautiful. I mean, I love going to the shop and hearing the playful, delightful, whimsical music in the background, and it's not overbearing. It provides a little bit of fantasy flavor that wasn't there before. So yeah, I'll drop that. I'm sorry, Harry. Keep going.
That's fine. I will note that for all the existing players, which is probably most people listening, uh, we only changed the default sound levels. So if your sound levels are still set at 100%, they are still set at 100%, and you may want to go check those before you unmute. But it should be a lot cleaner. I know there were some issues with team creation where the notifications were getting muted incorrectly because they were going off the music instead of off the notification. Speaking of which, we added a 1-second delay on the battle button, so it will disable after you click it. People that were hammering the button were occasionally managing to get themselves queued into 2 ranked matches, which they would usually surrender one. So we also added some additional checks to not queue you into a match if you're already waiting for an opponent in another one, so that should be a little better. I think those are the main things. We did do some cleanup on the SPS total supply. So that's now going to be based off of our internal data, and it'll recalculate every 5 minutes. And I think those are the current high points.
Nice. What the topic you just dropped off on? I'm curious. This probably was already addressed previously. I don't remember. When we made some changes, I noticed that I got so used to being there a grace period when the timer goes out during team select. I can't believe how many battles I surrendered because I mistakenly just assumed that grace period was, which is horrible, right? As players, when it hits 0, it's 0. I shouldn't expect to keep going. That's almost like a cheat. It's like a loophole. But I got so dependent upon it that I ended up surrendering a lot. Did we ever bring back any kind of grace period back, or is that like no? From going forward, that's it.
So the grace period was from when battles were on chain. Since we don't exactly know when the block's going to get processed, we added some wiggle room. Since battles have been taken off chain, it's now a lot more exact. We know, it will only get processed when you submit it. We have talked about should we add back in a grace period or not. That is a matter of opinion. Some people have said no. It should be a hard. That's your time. When your time runs out, your time's up.
No, and that makes sense. I mean, from a UX perspective, you don't want to leave players just in this vague limbo, like maybe I got more time, maybe I don't. And then you feel like at a disadvantage if you don't utilize that extra time that maybe you have or maybe you don't have. So I could understand like, hey, just cut it. So if we have the if it doesn't cause any technical issues, then I'd say yeah, we keep it, even though Nate's surrendered more battles than he wants because he uses every freaking second to make the team because I'm just not smart enough or good enough at the game, apparently. All right.
Okay, so that's this Tuesday's update. For anybody that follows the Discord event calendar, we did add an update on the 21st. We're planning to do some last minute tweaks to conflict to add the upcoming release after Lorcus and any other bugs we might fix in that time. But we expect that to be a very short update to basically just add some last minute tweaks and UI cleanup to the new summoners. And then we've got another large update on the 28th, where we are targeting to release the prefix titles for landholders, as well as hopefully some new animations that Nate might want to share.
Oh yeah, the animations. Hey, Ron, I'm talking to the voice in the sky now. Ron, if I send you some MP4s, DM you those MP4s, then when I get to that point and I decide to share it with folks on Discord, I guess is there a way for you to play an MP4 for those people who are watching on YouTube or
That
Twitch
will
or
not be a
whatever?
problem.
All right, cool. Thank you. But yeah, that sounds good. So before we go into that, I want to kind of like backpedal a little bit because I mean the two major things, the two major updates this Tuesday were what was it? The loot chests and the trade hub, right? Trade hub's going
Yep.
out Tuesday. Okay, so the loot chests, like have we gone back and looked at like the USD value of some of these things, and some of these things are like tradable, like they're not soul bound. Like you could like literally we're back to that whole lottery feeling. Like you click on. I'm curious to. Well, first of all, yeah, have we done that? I don't even know. Like what the USD value? Like some of them, like the titles. I'm not even sure if we have a USD value to attribute yet because there's not enough people with selling these titles to even know what they're valued at on the marketplace. But
Yeah.
has anyone
We
done that?
typically do not give things a USD value. That is up to the players on the secondary market, unless
Yeah.
we're selling something directly. So whatever people want to pay for, titles that will give you a significant boost on land production, or just a rare titles.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to see the analytics of how this plays out because the players are gonna go to the reward shop and they're gonna see, look, I can fill in all these gaps on my reward collection, or I can spin the wheel. Wheel of fortune. And then, you want a new, Rooney or land plot or whatever. A title, legendary title that costs like how much is the most expensive title? Like 5 million glint or something crazy.
Yeah,
Um, so that would be cool. That'd be an exciting experience. And I could understand why people would want that. I know
yeah.
that. Am I allowed to talk about uh we were talking about some earlier, and it sounds like we might be doing it. Is the gold foiled stuff?
Yeah, we might be doing it. We are still waiting for fine details of that from Matt, but we could talk about it as an idea that we're looking at adding.
Yeah. Dave McCoy says I'm allowed. So apparently, so yeah, I think I don't know whether it was Lilyfire and Royal Eagle once again because they're if you guys haven't noticed, they're constantly in Discord. They have their pulse on whatever you complain about, whatever you guys compliment us on, whatever you guys say this, say that. If they put out a survey, that's not fluff. Like, you literally should be filling out the survey. In fact, I think we're going to talk about that after a bit later on. We cannot, someone to remind us, we cannot end the town hall without sharing the survey link that we're trying to conduct right now. We already did a survey link before. There was like 60 participants, and we're looking for more. Give us your opinions on these surveys, because they do get brought up and they are analyzed, and we look at everything that everyone is saying on these surveys or in Discord or otherwise, and we do, we may not physically respond, although Lilyfire's gotten pretty good about it, and so is Royal Eagle. I see them constantly responding and making sure people know that we're hearing them. But if you're not getting that response, just understand that's okay. We're still listening. But that's a long-winded way of saying, hey, look, one of the ideas was that apparently community members wanted gold foil draws. Like, hey, I want to just spend an enormous amount of glint so that I can go ahead and fill out my gold foil collection. And I'll be honest, I was kind of like, I don't know, guys, I don't know about this idea. But this is one of those things where it's like, well, we could try it out. And I think the justification for it was, if you want to participate in gold foil tournaments, right? And you want to not be at a disadvantage against those who have cards that you can't access, you can't get. It's statistically so improbable that you ever get them, right? So anyways, that was the reasoning, and I thought it was interesting, since we're on the subject, that was a notion we were entertaining. And if you see that pop up in the reward shop soon, well, there you go. That's the process at work. Um, okay, and then what was the other thing? Oh, the trade hub. So, I mean, but before we move on, I just wanted to say the trade hub. I've said this before. When people say, "Well, golly, win this, guys! You've been working on it forever," and you guys are already aware that one of the land devs is no longer with us. That did cause delays. It was just an unforeseen thing that just happened, and you just got to adapt and overcome, right? And hopefully the community understands that. The good news is that we're running on all cylinders now, pedal to the metal, and it's no small thing. It's like, oh yeah, just add the ability to trade grain and DEC. What's taking so long? Well, essentially, it's creating an entire DEX. Like there's so many companies and projects and websites out there where that's their whole product. That's their whole thing. They have a whole team of people all trying to create this decentralized exchange environment that allows swapping and liquidity pools and all this other stuff. And then this whole team is trying to design it and maintain it and bring it to market and get people to use it. And it's like, I like the fact that our community has such high standards for us, because it's like, yeah, just bang it out. But miraculously, and part of it's our fault. I'm not saying that we haven't promised this a long time ago. So I'm not saying that at all. Clearly, we need to dig ourselves out of some debt here when it comes to promises and making sure we make good on those promises. But I will say that as far as the product as a whole, bringing this to fruition, we made sure that it was scalable. We made sure that there was all these intricate economics in place, so that we essentially built a DEX just for one of our gameplay modes and embedded it within our ecosystem as if it was like, yeah, there you go. And then as we add more and more resources to the upcoming stages of land, whether it's wood or ore or stone or all the bazillion refinements, the fact that this bustling marketplace, this huge DeFi, decentralized exchange environment, is going to be, just going. It's going to be crazy. It's like having our own Hive engine in the Splinterlands world, our own Uniswap or whatever. So I'm excited about the possibilities, and we've tried very hard. We've gone back and forth on this internally, and I've pushed hard. A lot of people champion the idea that we need to keep it very all the terminology the same as what you would see on a DEX. So we should use the term liquidity pools and slippage and terminology that people are already familiar with. But when you guys finally see it, we've been making some recent changes tweaking the text, and it's my fault. So if you wanted the liquidity pool terminology, you could blame Nate for not being there. But we're tweaking some things because ultimately the product we want to build is essentially a game with DeFi baked into it. And the best way to do that is to appeal not just to the crypto enthusiasts who are well versed in all the intricacies and complexities of, liquidity pools and stuff, but we want to appeal to someone who's just walking in off the street and wants to play a game. And they stumble upon land and they end up interacting with land. And unbeknownst to them, that completely unaware of the fact that they are learning the fundamentals of what decentralized blockchain has to offer. I wanted to make it to where Splinterlands becomes this magical onboarding experience, the stepping stone, if you will, to when they are finally go off into third-party websites and see the Uniswaps and the pancake swaps and all these other things. They think to themselves, oh, I know what this is. I don't need an explanation or a white paper. This is a lot like Splinterlands. Of course, Splinterlands was a lot easier to wrap my head around, but I get it. And so if we could be that stepping stone for the masses, if we can somehow find a way to make blockchain and crypto solve the UX problems to where I get it, it's intuitive, it's easier to understand, then wow. I mean, we'll be further in ahead in our mission of being able to onboard, because that's what we're talking about this year, right? Is onboarding, and the new player experience. So I don't want to forget that. At every stage of the process, I want the UX to have that baked in, that perspective, that mission. So I just wanted to, I was going to say briefly explain, but that wasn't brief at all, was it? I just want to explain our mindset when you see some of the changes on Mavs. Instead of saying liquidity pools, if this is grain market, or instead of slippage, if it says, market tolerance or whatever, then I want you to understand where Nate was coming from when he was doing it. And we'll try it out. And if people are confused or stumbling through it or whatever, then we'll revisit that. And, you guys already know our philosophy on that. We throw it to you guys. If we see some issues, then Royal Eagle and Lily Fire will definitely be knocking on my door and saying, Nate, it's not working. So we'll see how it goes. But if you have access to Mavs, well, first of all, Harry, were those changes made to Mavs yet, or that was just on the internal side?
That's on internal. I will push them out either later today or tomorrow, depending on when we get the definitely final copy, because I know there was still some back and forth on which word should be capitalized. And
yeah. All right. So cool. So even if it just goes live and the Mavs don't see some of these changes,
Mavs will see it. I need to get some stuff out for testing too.
Okay. Well then Mavs, if you have access to Mavs, then go ahead and look at it later today or tomorrow. Let us know how you think. And speaking of which, Harry, I don't know, we could tag team this. I know Lily Fire had some bullet points we want to go down, but it kind of overlaps with that. Is that the support? Where if you see something going on with the game, right, Harry? If it's a glitch or a bug, specifically, then don't just roll in a UX channel. I mean, you could go to UX channel anytime, but essentially, it really helps propel things along, push things along, so that we can resolve things way faster if you go and make a ticket, right, Harry? Or what's the process there?
So we do want to thank everybody that comes and gives their feedback in UX channel. We do appreciate all the ideas. If you find a bug with the game, you should let support know. Go into the help in the game, put in submit a ticket, and report it, so that way it gets into our system. Support can send it to development, and we'll get it resolved faster. Don't just go complain in the general in the tavern. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. So it's a lot better to get things resolved if you submit them to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you have like something UX related, now UX, the user experience is pretty much everything, right? It's the entire enchilada. It's the whole thing. But the UX channel specifically that's not necessarily the best place to put bugs and glitches. It's better to put like, hey, I have an idea on what's going to make this game more fun. If you tweak this little thing over here, then I'll have access to the information that I want a lot easier. That's not really a bug or a glitch. That's more like, hey, a refinement, a quality of life improvement, if you will. And that stuff, yes, we eat that stuff up all day. Just send it to the UX channel, and we'll definitely be reviewing that stuff. Okay, so yeah, that's the stuff I kind of wanted to kind of backpedal on and talk about,
Yeah.
Harry, because I
We
thought
should
that was cool
probably
stuff.
go back to the gold foil chest idea. So, in part of that, we were talking about different ideas on how to incentivize people to play modern. So, we're trying to add liquidity bots, but right now, because there's so many private bots in Wild with fairly poor decks, it is still much easier to play Wild, and a lot of people have been going there rather than modern, even though modern has a glint bonus. So we did want to try to get people's ideas and feedback on how we can incentivize modern. So we Lilyfire put together a survey. You want to drop the link, Lilyfire, or I can grab that real quick. So we want to try to incentivize more people to play in modern, because as more people play in modern, it should be a more balanced field. Because right now the problem is, as more people move to wild, there's less people in modern, so you get paired up with the same people over and over again. Thank you, Rondon.
Yay! So yeah, definitely go fill out that survey, because we're literally every week we have a new player experience meeting. We talk about the league revamp and all kinds of changes we want to make, the onboarding, everything, and we are going to make decisions that are influenced by what you guys put in that survey. So I repeat, that is not fluff. That's not stuff we're just throwing out there like, I'd be curious to. No. That we're probably going to act on it. So if you want to influence the direction of the game, then we're saying, hey, let's be partners on this. Like some of you guys have said, like, hey, there's not enough communication. There's not enough, there's no connection. I don't feel like I'm being heard. I don't feel like this. I don't feel like that. Well, okay, we hear you, right? And let's up the ante. Let's get you involved. Let's be partners in how this should be rolled out. So please, I would encourage you, if you have any interest in how the game is doing right now in terms of the league redesigns and all that stuff, then that's where you want to be. Was there anything else, Harry, that you think of?
There is one other topic that I want to touch on that we kind of should have probably hit up during the last town hall, but did want to thank everybody that participated in the Bitcoin halving event, which did end after the last town hall. So thank you everybody that bought promo cards, and if you won a Rooney, please contact support. Also using that link, I think we are still trying to track down 2 people that won Roonies that we need their Ethereum addresses so we can send them their prize. But do appreciate that everybody, bought cards, help support the company. And I think those were the main points that we wanted to hit on. I guess part of the reason we are not adding the new animated backgrounds that we'll be sharing in a little bit yet is we also want to make sure that we're not killing mobile users more than is necessary. So these are decent size animations. And we want to add the ability to not play them. So if you're on a low bandwidth network or have limited data and are playing on mobile, we're not killing your data. So we're going to try to get in an option first to disable animations or make basically a low data mode so that any big files get loaded as kind of static backgrounds, and we want to get that out before we start adding a lot more animations to the game. Hopefully, adding a lot more animations to the game. At least I think Nate wants to do that.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, and by the way, I just DM'd you, Rondon, so you have those 2 videos, which I'll let you know when I'm about to share anything like that. Um, but yeah, you're right, Harry. Like the direction that I gave internally to creative was, and I'll get into this later, but I essentially said, well, actually, let's go back in history a little bit. So I would say, yes, I was the first employee for Splinterlands, and from day one, 2018. So like now, like 6 years ago. Holy crap! Has it been that long? So like 6 years ago, I was already chomping at the bit to like, I want to make this like this amazing experience, this make this game. Um, and but there was always some challenges, either with the resources because we were such a tiny team. Like how much can we do? At the time it was just me, so I was writing the copy, I was doing the animations, I was doing a lot of the graphics, I was doing the UX, the UI. I was like I was like trying to juggle all these balls as fast as I can, and as a result I never could really give attention to any one thing as much as I wanted to. So there's a lot of old graphics and old UI and old animations and old stuff from back in the day where I just had to crank it out like in an hour. Hurry up, go, 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 and go on to the next thing. And so I've always wanted to go back and change all that stuff because I'm like, I'm not proud of it. Every time I get a chance to revisit an old obsolete UI or graphic or animation, I'm like, yes, please, let's. I don't want to look at that anymore. Um, and now, years later, when the transfer of power kind of happened, uh, I was a little nervous. I will see if Matt's watching this or not, but I was a little nervous because Matt has always been, in the time I've known him, always been very so conservative, right? Everyone knows that. Matt's a very conservative guy, which is good, which is a good thing. But he's usually conservative across the board, dealing with everything. So whenever Nate comes and says, Matt, I have this great idea. I want to do this and this and that, and blah, that he's like, well, Nate, not now. Maybe down the road. Maybe he's thinking like 10 years down the road, or something crazy. So when Matt became the CEO, and I'm like, hey Matt, how you doing? So what are we doing? Um, uh, he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I have all these ideas of what I'd like to do, but like, well, what are the ideas? Well, I mean, I'd love to do finally cosmetics. I'd like to raise production value. I'd like Battles 2.0. I like this. I'd like this. I like that. I want to just top to bottom revamp the UX experience for the player. I want us to feel proud. I want us and the players to feel proud about what Splinterlands is, not just the technical accomplishments, but the whole thing. If this is a car, I don't want just the engine to be cool. I want the radio, I want the tinted windows, I want the bling, I want everything. I want someone to just look at the car and go, "Whoa, that is sexy. That's a nice looking car. Can I ride in it too?" Like that's what I want. And and surprisingly enough, Matt says, okay, let's do it. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Like, is this the same guy? Like, what's happening right now? So, the fact that at the beginning of the year, Matt went ahead and greenlight this whole thing we're doing in 2024. I mean, we're looking at everything, all the league redesign. I think I saw a comment earlier. Danny Dagman, wait, NPE is still being designed? I thought development started on that already. Yes, of course, development's already started. That's the league revamp that we're doing now, and I could share some of the onboarding stuff in a little bit. But essentially, the new player experience, I like to look at it as not for new players, but it's a new pause player experience for everybody. It's for everybody, and it encompasses everything. So every screen in the game, we want to look at that and say, look, how can we make this screen look polished? How can we make it look sexy? How can we give it that sizzle, to where it's delightful to engage with? How can I make it intuitive? How can I make it user friendly? How can I make sure there's an academy panel that gives me all the extra information I might want to need without leaving the screen that I'm on? How do I add the animations, the sound effects, the music, like all of it? I want to do all of it. And Matt said, like, yeah, let's go. Now, that doesn't mean it's just going to roll out tomorrow. Obviously, you guys know that. We've been working on it for a while, piece by little piece. What you guys are seeing is such a sliver of the whole pie that I'm looking at, that I want to see happen this year. Um, and the little slivers that you guys are seeing are pieces of the league revamp. And the whole reason we're revamping the leagues is because of this new player experience. That's a child of that project. That's why we're doing it, because the previous rank play was very complicated. I think we can all agree, and there's still some complexities there. Like, it should not be. This is a very simple game. You collect some cards, you make a team, you send them out, you watch the battle, rinse and repeat. It's fun, it's addictive. At no point in time should suddenly the new player stop and push on the brakes and say, "What is going on? Like, what's happening here?" Like the layers of complexity. It should be about depth and a robust system that offers you a lot of options, but without the complexity, right? So that's what we're trying to fix. That's what we're trying to resolve. But again, I went off on a tangent, didn't I? The point is talking about the production quality of the game, and so I'll bring it back to what you mentioned, the animations. So I told the creative side of things, look, every single screen, every UX, every UI, you don't even have to wait for my approval. If you see an opportunity to add engagement, to add animation, to add sound effects, to add anything that's going to pop off the screen, grab the player by the eyeballs and drag them screaming into this fantasy world and make it immersive and fun, then just do it. Then don't wait for me, just do it. So that's the directive I gave. So you'll see that over, hopefully, little by little, you'll see screens being developed and introduced to you where there's cutscenes and there's animations and there's effects. And I realize there's a segment of our player base that just cares about ROI. They just care about yeah, I don't care. How much am I earning? And that's fair. That's fair. We want a place for everything and a place for everybody. But I like to think that the product we're ultimately creating is a game. And so to ignore the entertainment value would be a huge mistake, I think. And I think it would ultimately block the appeal that we have for not just mainstream, but I mean, if you look at the competitive landscape of the industry right now, and I'm talking about Web3 specifically, we can't just sit on our laurels and say, well, we were one of the first, and we have delegation and rentals and a complex economy that's sustainable, so that should be good enough. Well, I don't know. Gamers look for a lot more than that. Even the Web3 gamers, even the ones looking for options to earn, right? They want to see the sexy sizzle, and I think that's where we kind of haven't been looking at that, and I think now's the time. And luckily, Matt says that, yeah, go ahead, Nate. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do it. So we'll get into that in a little bit if you guys want to see some examples of that. But ultimately, Harry was the one who kind of like pumped the brakes on me. I was like, yeah, get these animations as soon as possible, ASAP. We want to. I want to see it. And I think Harry or someone was the one who said, well, Nate, there are people who maybe like to turn off the animations, and we have to give them that option. So actually, right before this town hall, I was reviewing the UI from Roy, our UX designer, and looking at the new settings pages, which is cool. We're going to do some consolidation work, hopefully, and we're going to make it cleaner and crispier and nicer to look at. But we will also be adding the option to be able to either toggle on and off or slide from low, medium, and high your preference when it comes to just overall multimedia in the game. Like where you at? You want to only see the critical animations? You want to see everything and hear everything, or you just want nothing? Like you just want to just you're the type of person who just skips the battles and you just want to like, hey, get your earnings in and go about your day. So hopefully we'll have the settings set up And then once that's set up, then you'll be able to see what I'm about to share with you. Let me see what we got here. So, since we're talking about it, I'm not talking about anything big. These are small animations to start, but this will at least give you whet your appetite for what's to come on almost every screen in the game if I have anything to say about it. So here is Ron. I'm going to share the modern one first. So that's the one that looks primarily blue in color. Uh, so this is an MP4. So if you're in Discord, you'll have to click the play. And if you are, there you go. Ron's already sharing it. So you'll notice that the badge is kind of floating and glimmering, and the battle mage in the background has her. She's blinking her eyes and has the little motion of water and everything. So nothing crazy. Nate's not going off the rails. I'm just looking for a little sexy sizzle here and there. That's all. Um, and then here's an example of that for Wild. So here is that, and then Ron, that's the other one. That's the purple one. So um, that's all we're really talking about. So if you guys had high expectations for like, oh, I can't wait to see what Nate's going to share. Like, hey, it's nothing crazy, but it gives you an idea where my head's at. Like, I want to see the production value of the game, and I repeat, game. This is a game we're making. I want to raise the production. It's not a skin spreadsheet. It's a game. I want the game across the board on all the screens to have this sort of treatment. Academy panels, some nice animations, some nice sound effects, things like that. When you achieve a new milestone event, like you go to from gold 3 to gold 2, I want you to celebrate. I want you to see the badge. I think I've showed those on previous town halls where the old badge, it gets animated and it shakes and then it falls apart and gets replaced and pieces come together like a transformer, and then you see the new badge in all its glory. I asked Asari to make sound effects. We have all the animations for all the badges for both modern and wild, including transitions. So if you go from bronze to silver or whatever, then you have this wonderful milestone experience where the badge shakes and is replaced with the other badge, and then you get the sound effects with it. I think that emotional reaction that you should be getting from the game, it's not there right now. And I think that subconsciously you guys know it, and sometimes if it feels like a grind or it feels like something's missing, like it's just then let's fix that. Let's fix it. And sometimes it's not always economics. I know we get caught up in the economics. Well, let's change the percentage of this and that, and let's address the liquidity in modern by doing this and that. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of technical thing to work out, but let's not overlook the emotional. I mean, if you can inject emotional stuff into the experience, then that a lot of people will appreciate that, and a lot of people will play just to have that experience. I think it's worth looking at. Um, let's see what else. I think earlier I think who was it? B Jangles asked about champion points. Okay, so I agree. I think that there should be a feature for champion points. I don't know what that is. I think it even got brought up, if not on the last meeting, the meeting before. I want to say there was at some point I remember something got brought up about champion points. So I want to keep that on the radar. I don't want that to fall between the cracks. We haven't decided what to do about it, but I do want to do something about it. Um, I'm trying to see if there's anything else going on before I keep going. Uh, question to Nate and Gator. This is from Basil Marples. I'm looking at it on YouTube. Who is your favorite Splinterlands race? If you had to choose one to play, as in a civilization style empire builder or Warhammer style tabletop army builder, what would it be? So Harry, you think about your favorite Splinterlands race. So I'm really glad you asked this question because it seems like a silly question, right? It's like a softball pitch. Like, hey, give Nate something to talk about. Since Matt's not here, let's give him a question about the races. But it does bleed into the onboarding experience. So first of all, let me answer the question. Um, I played EverQuest 2 for years with my wife. Um, and if you know my wife, her name's Rainey. And Rainey and I, would play in EverQuest in a guild that was named Vermin. And the reason it was named Vermin is because we would all RP, we would role play rats. And if you've ever played EverQuest, they have a race called the Ratonga, very somewhat similar to some of the races we have here in the Splinterlands. Um, but essentially, yes. So I played a character called Cooley, Kooli. He was a Ratonga, a little rat assassin, and he would always speaks like this. I want the stabbies, and I want the shinies. That's how he would talk, and it's funny because I would walk around Norath, the world of EverQuest, typing that out, and I would literally role play my character like that everywhere I went, and I never broke character, even if it annoyed people. And my wife, we were the Sneaky Tails. So I was Cooley Sneaky Tail, and my wife was Rainy Sneaky Tail. And we would go raiding with the girl known as Vermin. And so you'd see all these little rats approaching this behemoth of a scary boss monster. And all the rats would be like chopping away or casting magic, and it would be a sight to behold. So usually when I start a game or I play a game, or if you're on a game and you ever come across an avatar and his name is Cooley Nate, that's my go-to username. Now when I started in Hive, I didn't see Hive as a game, so I didn't name myself Cooley Nate. I just put my name because that's usually what I do with Twitter and Facebook. Nate Aguilar. I just put my name. That way people know who I am, can find me easily. Um, if I knew that someday that my Hive account was going to be used in a game, and that game, I would be a character in, and now I'm Nate Aguila, like, um, so so we looked at that during the onboarding experience, and I was surprised that Matt was like open to the idea. And I brought this up before, but I don't think it really sank in with the players what I'm hoping to do. So I'll just kind of touch on it lightly, and then Harry, I hopefully by that time you have enough time to think about your favorite race. So the thought process was, during the onboarding experience, you're a brand new player, and you go ahead and you are not freaking, loves crypto 123 or whatever you call yourself in social media or whatever. Instead, you have an opportunity to kind of like say, okay, this is my Hive wallet address, but that's not me. That's not who I am. That's not who I am in the Splinterlands world. Instead, I want to be, Gator the Magnificent, or I want to be, choose a character name that befits someone who would live in a fantasy world. And still, you could still have your Hive wallet. We could still display it under your character name, right? But the ability to go ahead and associate a character name to your account, so that you don't have to remember complicated Hive wallet addresses. Instead, you say, "Oh, I want to send this DEC to Gator, who plays a humanoid gator creature or whatever, right?" Which is my second point. Besides creating a custom avatar name, it only makes sense you should be able to customize the avatar in that world, and that's where I'm glad you asked the question, because not only does it matter, like, hey, it's a fun question to ask, what's my favorite race? It's this, but it should be a question you ask yourself too, because if Nate has his way, then someday this year, hopefully, is what I'm hoping for. By the end of the year, I hope that you'll be able to ask yourself, what is your favorite race? And then choose the race you want to be representative as an avatar. And not only can you choose, oh, I want to be an elf, I want to be a dwarf, I want to be a rat guy, I want to be a gnome, I want to be a halfling, I want to be like, we have all these races. Actually, the artwork's already done. The artwork's done. Like, we have it so that you could choose, I don't know, an orc or an ogre, or whatever race you want to be, and then you could choose your eyes, your nose, your mouth, what hat, your shirt. Like basically, imagine Rooney or your typical NFT project out there, but as custom avatars. And I never even mentioned this to Matt. I shouldn't even mention it now, but I think it would be so cool if someday, once we implement that people have the option to spend an enormous amount of DEC or something crazy in order to mint it, this unique thing, and then suddenly that's no longer an option. You can't use an orc with green skin, with those eyes, with that mouth. It belongs to you, and you can like export it as like an Ethereum NFT or something like that. Like that would be, to me, that would be super cool. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I better stop. I can't. I shouldn't. I need to stop. I can't just throw out ideas on a town hall and a live stream like this. So, but I will say that's the
Disclaimer that
idea.
everything on the town hall is subject to change.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Make sure that the disclaimer holds true. Everything we say is subject to change. May not happen. But ultimately, I think that yes, that's what I want. I want you to choose your own name, and I want you to choose what you look like. And for me, I'd be tempted to go back and be a rat guy. Um, I guess we'll see. But what about you, Harry? What's your favorite race?
I'm pretty boring. I tend to pick humans in whatever game I play.
Humans. All right. Well, then you probably, like when we finally get around to deciding, okay, how are we going to implement avatars? Should some of them be premium? Should we offer them as packages or part of blah 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 blah? What would be the default race? Well, obviously it'd be human. So Harry would never have to pay an extra cent more. He'd be quite happy with the default race that's provided. So yeah, no,
Maybe
that's
for a fancy hat, but
all right. Okay, so I was just trying to address the questions and comments that were popping up in chat. Let me see if there's anything else. And as you guys can see, a lot more casual. We didn't wait for the questions at the end. If you're going to chat, I'm reading the chat. I'll respond accordingly. Okay, so I don't see much else going on, so I could
I
just
do have
ramble on
one
about
more
other
little
stuff.
eye candy, which also probably pre-answer some of the questions here about.
Oh, there you go. So you got the loot chests. So as
Yeah,
you pointed out, minor, major, and ultimate chest. And the way they're going to be displayed. Let me see if I have an example here. Nope, nope. I could have sworn I had one. Oh, here it is. Okay, so here is a animated GIF of the ultimate chest, and it's very subtle. It's extremely subtle. It's just kind of like floating a tiny bit and has the little pulsating glow from within. Um, I never asked you, Harry. Were you able to kind of implement that, or that has to come later? Or is it just going to be fixed images on the reward shop?
Antioch did the UI implementation for the reward shop. I think they're there, but I don't know if you got sent them. They may be there. Which
All
is
right. So we'll see if on Tuesday it launches and the graphics are just stationary and sitting there, then that's okay. That's all anyone expects. But like I said, at every opportunity, I'm telling the team if it could be animated, then animate it. Make it look cool. Same thing with the draw cards. Like I just reviewed one of our animators sent me an update, and I looked at it, and it's the draw cards. And you know how there's some energy swirls in the middle of the card, so he has them rotated, and it looks cool, but it feels too rigid to me. I told him I want it to look more like hot lava. I want some of these swirls to kind of fade in and out. And so it's just an example of how anal Nate is. Um, he drives the creative team crazy. So he went back to the drawing board to see if he can create some more fluid, cooler, more subtle draw animations for these cards that show up in the reward shop. Um, Another example of how we're trying to inject a sense of emotion and engagement every step of the way is currently right now you just click on one of these draws or chests or whatever, and then you're immediately navigated to the screen and you see what you got and you go about your day. It's not really like an experience, right? So what I asked of them, as I said, and this is not going out on Tuesday, by the way, but I did tell Harry, earlier in the week, hey, this is coming. So once it's ready, we'll hand it off, and then if someone could implement, that'd be great. Um, so let me find an example of what I'm talking about. Like, oh, here it is. Okay, so this is concept art. So hopefully you guys are okay with rough. It's rough. because concept art's rough. But this is concept art for kind of like if you click and you buy a draw, I want there to be the briefest cutscene, not so long so that it's annoying or distracting, but just enough to celebrate what you're doing. Because essentially, in fact, when you're awarded glint, I want there to be an animation there too. Like at the end of the season or whatever, you get all this glint. Instead of just seeing your number go, nope, now your number's changed. That's kind of like boring. Like I want it to be end of season, this momentous occasion where your little glint container, your magical orb, all these sparkles are around the globe, and then they brighten up and they suddenly get sucked into the orb, and the orb brightens up and gets brighter. And you're like, yes. And there's some sort of sound effect to it, and you're like, yes, this was an accomplishment. I did something, and I could see my winnings in a very physical form. And so for the loot draws, we want to do like, hey, once you have this glint, what do I do with it? I'm going to go over here and buy some. And when I buy it, I want that Harry Potter experience, when he's in the wand shop and they keep testing out wands, right? At Ollivanders wand shop or whatever, that guy behind the counter. And he finally finds the right one. And suddenly there's this, it's like the angels are singing and the white glow, and his hair kind of gets thrown back or whatever. So that's what I want people to feel when they're finally get what they want. So this is a prototype for the draw. So that gives you an idea of like, hey, a really quick cut scene so that when you go ahead and buy that draw, you get the little draw card and it's rumbling and some swirling magic, and then bam, it explodes, and then you get to see what the heck is going on there. So nothing crazy, but I think all these little tiny itty bitty details adds up to become the polished experience that we all want the game to be. Okay, I feel like wow, I ramble a lot, don't I? What were you saying, Harry? What were we talking about?
You had a sketch that you're going to show, or some initial art designs for?
Well, I shared. Oh, for what? Because I just shared the sketches and prototypes for the draw, how that could look. Was there?
Okay, I think Rondon may need to switch to those.
Oh, okay. He just didn't show it on the YouTube.
Yeah, there we go.
Clayboyne is asking when new summoner stats. All right, so it is like we are so far out from really talking seriously about the next one. On the other hand, B Jangles made a good point. It's like, well, when's the next town hall going to happen in time for us to even talk about that? So I'm like, crap.
With the puppy.
So here's the compromise I'm willing to make. I'll share the artwork. But we're not going to share stats today. So hopefully you guys are okay with that. I feel like the stats might need a little more time in the oven. We actually have a QA testing session later today after the town hall to actually go over exactly that. So I think if I'm remembering correctly what was on the calendar. So as we finesse and fine tune that, I would say in the next week or two, there'll be a blog post, the typical blog post you guys are accustomed to seeing, that gives all the details of what the heck's going on with the next summoner and all that stuff. But in the meantime, just to kind of like give you guys something, then by all means, let me find it. Okay, so this was I want to make sure I got his name right. Maybe there it is. Joey can help me out in case I screw it up. Crip71X, I guess, is the username who won the design reward of designing this summoner. So big props to him. Thank you so much for participating in the Rebellion pre-sale like you did, and I hope that they're happy with the outcome. I know we went back and forth on. He said what he wanted it to look like. He said we gave him all kinds of different heads. By heads, I mean facial expressions. We were like, hey, you want him serious? You want him this? You want him that? And we showed all these different happy, sad, mean, angry, all these expressions, right? He settled on the one, and I think he made a good choice. I think it's pretty cool. So here is the name of the character is Cryptic, Darken Mage, I believe. Joey could correct me if I'm wrong. First name for sure, Cryptic. Darken Mage I had seen on the project management boards and part of the doc that the player had provided us. So if that's changed, then let me know, Joey. But otherwise, Cryptic Darken Mage is his name, and he is, there you go. As you can tell, he is going to be a water death dual element legendary summoner. So and I particularly like him because I'm as you guys might be already aware, I'm a big fan of death. Oh, Joey says just Cryptic. So we dropped the surname, which is fine. So it's kind of like Cher or Beyonce or um he's cryptic. That is all. And that's all you're going to know about him because he's cryptic and mysterious. Uh, but I since I'm a Death fan, I think that that looks pretty cool. That looks like a guy who meddles with water and death magic. Um, and then I made the observation a little bit ago. I was like, is this guys, was this intentional? Because I noticed that Zedeka, the other water death summoner, also has this creepy grin, right? And she also has a hood, and she's like, ah, and this guy's like, ah. And I'm like, whoa, what does water death magic do to these people? Maybe it's kind of like, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter chocolate, those things go together. But water and death magic, no, you should stay away from doing that because that messes you up. So I thought maybe it's just some things weren't meant to be put together, but we're doing it anyways, like mad scientists. Water and death. Okay, so let's see. What else? I don't see anyone asking me for. I could ramble about anything, really, guys.
We do have questions from last week that Matt was kind enough to pre-type answers to. So we could go through those, and then we could see if anybody has any other questions for us.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, when we get to after the mat answers are done, if you guys have some questions and answers, yeah, answer the questions yourself. If you guys have questions, then obviously Matt's not here, so just be sensitive to that. Like I don't want to spend half the time saying, well, that's a Matt question, that's a Matt question, that's a Matt question. If you have a question for Harry or myself, so if you have something that is engineering specific or something that is design specific, creative specific, that then that's awesome. I mean, I am more than happy to share. Since this is an abnormal town hall, I'm more than happy to share a little alpha, share a little this, a little that. If you guys want to see it, just in your questions, say, just let me know what you're curious about or what your questions are, and I'll answer if I can, or I'll share stuff if I can. But yeah, let's we can go ahead and go on to the Matt questions.
Okay. Robin, do you have the questions? And Nate, you want to read off the questions? I'll read off what Matt wrote up for the answers.
Yeah, let me see. Where's the The questions are there. They are. Okay, I see them. Oh yeah, some of these are long. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to go through you can do the gist of it instead of the whole question.
Okay, so the first question is this very, very long thing about nerfing Grim Bardoon Smith. So apparently, last town hall there was a implication or a hint or a comment that suggested that Matt would be open to the possibility of a DAO proposal to nerf the Grim Smith because apparently there's been a segment of the community that feels he needs nerfing or something. So then he gives a rundown of like essentially like, hey, I don't like that idea. People spent money during the pre-sale. They made financial decisions based upon this. But if you did it this way, and the way he's suggesting is the way that abilities interact with one another, particularly cripple. So if the cripple ability could affect units like him that have immunity, then maybe that would be enough so that you don't have to go full blown nerf mode on this character. And so, in response to that, Matt said,
He said it's a good suggestion, and he'll tag Call Me Tim on that one since he's kind of in charge of rules decisions, or big proponent of it. As far as the proposal to change the card, he wasn't saying that it was necessarily a good idea. He was just pointing out that it was an option, and it's his guess that many players feel the same way and that a proposal would not pass. But for players who think that nerfing it's the right way to go, he was reminding them that it is an option to use the proposal system. And it's better to do that than just randomly DM Matt with your suggestions. Also, I'm staring off at my other monitor instead of looking straight at the camera because I have the answers written over here.
yeah, same here. I'm looking up at the questions. I don't know what my face looks like on the. If I look real quick, I could see. Try to see what I look like. All right. So next question. 2 questions dealing with mini set. Will there be a mini set for Rebellion like Rift Watchers and Dice with past sets? So bottom line, is there a mini set coming up?
Matt has not been planning on one. It's a ton of work to release a new mini set, or a new set, mini or not. We're currently working on the new reward card set, and then we'll probably need to start on the next major set. But we'll see. Things can always change, and if the community would really like there to be a mini set, then we're open to it.
Okay, very good. I mean, yeah. I mean, we can debate, go back and forth all day long on whether it's good or bad to have a mini set or what that means, but ultimately, and this goes for reward cards too. I mean, different people feel different ways about whether we should have reward cards at all or not. But I will say that I'm looking forward to the day where we have more options than just the character cards, because we've spent the last 6 years where that's it. How do we bring revenue to the company? Character cards. How do we reward people? Character cards. How do we, do a promo? Character cards. How do we? Yeah, basically everything revolves around this one asset, right? Which is not. And then when we introduce land, whoa, there's something more than just character cards. Now there's deeds, and then getting into resources and all the rest of the stuff. So I think people appreciated how that opens things up a little bit. I want to crank things open all the way. I want the floodgates to open so that again, we're back to cosmetics. We're back to the avatar options, avatar skin options, the character card skin options, the housing and furniture options. As soon as we're able to offer more digital assets than just the character cards, man, it really opens up the door for what the future looks like and how we can reward people and how we can incentivize people and how people can enjoy the game in different ways. I think I I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's gonna be freaking awesome. Um we've been living in this bubble for like this whole time where all everyone talks about is rank play, modern, wild, rank play, modern, wild, rank play, modern, wild. And sure, there's tournaments and brawls and land, but it's almost all discussions revolve around this one form of gameplay. And then we try to shove everything into it, and all the assets revolve around it. Like everything is about this one thing. And I feel like this is the year. This is the year that's going to create the foundation and the infrastructure to allow us to expand beyond just this little tiny bubble we built for ourselves where we're just arguing with each other over this little piece of a greater pie. Um, uh, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if you guys can see what I see, but there's I don't know. There's a lot of potential here, and I think some of the salt is unnecessary when you really think about what the future holds. But again, I started rambling. Let me go to the next question. What are your thoughts on the Rebellion mini set only being obtained by burning other cards in packs. It might not need as many cards as well. I could keep going, but essentially we already answered the question. Like if we have no plans to do a mini set, then yeah. But that's I would say that's an interesting mechanic that maybe could be applied elsewhere if we're not going to do a mini set. But did Matt answer that one?
No, it's basically the same answer, that we're currently not planning to do a mini set. If the DAO wants to sponsor a mini set for this series, then they could do a proposal and agree to pay the company to develop a mini set.
Yeah.
But
all right. So Soulbound Summoners. In the last town hall, you stated you're willing to change a card if a DAO vote passed. What do you think of a DAO vote to remove Soulbound Summoners from the game? The fact that some accounts will be able to forever earn without owning and I can keep going, but I think most of us know the good and the bad and the ugly with Soulbound Summoners. So I'm curious, what did Matt say about that?
So he said that we will seriously consider anything that 66% plus of staked SPS holders vote for. That being said, he doesn't think that he thinks that something like that would be pretty complicated and a lot of work for something that he does not see as a big issue in the scheme of things. But that's just his opinion, and the community may think otherwise. I will add my own 2 cents to this, that rather than completely remove Soulbound Summoners from the game, maybe tweaking their stats or abilities might be a better, more palatable change to nerf them if we think there's an issue with them.
Yeah. And I think people need to understand that no one is saying that no, Soulbound Summoners was the smartest thing we could have ever done. I mean, we're willing to say, yeah, maybe that was a mistake. So the question isn't debating whether we should or shouldn't have done it. The question is, well, if the DAO passes a proposal, what are the chances that we can actually do that? And I'm like, yeah, someone make a proposal. If you feel that strongly about it, then we will take it seriously. We're not going to disregard it. We'll be like, hey, what can we do to make this happen? Whether it's turn the summoner into a unit or keep it a summoner, but tweak the stats so it's less impactful or whatever. Like, you're right, Harry. Like, there's options. All right, next question. Splinterlands URL load screens. Yeah, I've dealt with this. What is happening on the Splinterlands URL load screens between next.splinterlands and the normal Splinterlands URL? There are many times when the URL freaks out between the two and fails to load screens. I know lots of we've all seen it. If you guys have been playing for the past week or two, you'll play and then you see the results and you lose all the excitement of watching the battle playback, or you're navigated somewhere else you didn't expect to, or these weird things start happening. Is there a path forward or timeline to resolve the issues? So what do you think?
So the goal is to get everything moved over to the new client, the Techmarization, which would remove the switching back and forth, because right now we're still on a split client. So the actual battle replay is on the old client still, whereas the new ranked team creation is the new client. So that's why it's hopping back and forth when you queue up for battles. That being said, Matt personally hasn't experienced any issue like that. So if you are having specific problems, you should probably try to reach out to support to make sure that you're on the most updated client, or we can look into if there's a specific performance issue that you're experiencing. Maybe we can make some improvements for that. This kind of goes back to, we are looking at trying to reduce the bandwidth of certain things, which would hopefully improve load times. And there's only really 3 big areas left for tech modernization: the battle replay, tournaments, and guilds. Right now, Matio is working on the tournaments page. I know there's been some discussion about getting battles moved over, and it's probably my fault, because I definitely pushed for, okay, let's get the team creation moved out. He's got it done. Let's put it out. And that kind of lights a fire that, yeah, we really need to get the battle history, the battle replay done too. We've been pushing this off for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So once we get
So yeah.
the rest of Techmarization done, it won't be an issue. It'll all be on the same client. There won't be the weird jumping back and forth.
And right now we're hoping to maybe address that over the next month, or do you think it'll take longer?
Probably longer, realistically. We are hoping to get the Techmarization done this year. The battle screen is one of the most complex. Replaying the battles is fairly complex. Um, I think we were hoping to get some help on that from Meloman.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get him and Nancy working on it in the next month or so.
I mean, I think they're my understanding is they're trying so hard to move it to VNext for the purposes of accommodating the new summoners, the first of which is being released, I don't know, in like a couple of weeks or right. So I guess we'll see how this plays out. But I do know that at least the tactics or battle specific screens, um, some of which may be causing the problems that people are having, but maybe not. I mean, it is a high priority to get those transferred over VNext like now. So I guess I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Okay. What else is modern test run bots? So now that we have around 300 test run bots working in modern, can we start scaling them quickly? By scaling them, I assume they mean add more. There isn't a need to wait and see on this one, since we know this is the solution to the modern liquidity problem. Well, I mean, other than get more players, right? Uh, Although I could make a case also for, well, okay, I'm going to start rambling again. Let me finish the question. The quicker we get these up and running, the faster we can stop the bleeding of players for modern and maybe from the game. Not everyone will move to wild in the meantime. You like to give changes an extended period of time if it works, but this is a change that we already know will work. No reason to wait. What did Matt have to say?
He did not either answer these in questions or we skipped that one.
Oh no, we skipped it. Well, luckily we have a Harry here who's neck deep in knowing the bot situation in modern. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's not as quick as you may think to spin them up. I mean, making the accounts is quick, but we are using real cards because Matt does not want to treat these differently than real accounts. And for them to be able to be moderately competitive and not be stuck in bronze 3, they probably need some leveled up cards. So it does take some time for usually Royals doing this is combining cards up, giving them to the bot accounts, and then spinning them up. But right now we were going to target running with 300 for a bit and see how that goes with fixing people being kind of stuck in lower leagues with max level decks. And if we need to spin up more, we can look into it.
You know what I think would be cool is, and I don't know how we would do it. I would literally give Joey and Cal Jericho an aneurysm, I think. But like as we spin up more and more bots, I would love to give these bots like 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 personalities and backgrounds in the Splinterlands world. So you're not just fighting a bot, like it's something special instead of a consolation prize of like, oh, we couldn't find you a real guy to play, so here's this. Like I would want it to be a special occasion when I see the opportunity to play against the bot. Or like, whoa, I'm playing against this other person who is well known in the Splinterlands universe, and or maybe I met them during the onboarding experience at my time at the Mage Academy, or maybe it's one of the professors, right, who wants to give me a smackdown and show me, see if I really learned those lessons correctly. Like, but yeah, that's a lot of bots. That'd be a lot of unique character names and avatars and stuff. But I don't know. I guess I'm just dreaming at this point. But I will say that people are talk about the liquidity problem a lot, and for those of you watching this are like, liquidity, what liquidity are you talking about? Liquids? What's happening here? We're talking about just having enough people to have matches when you need them. um, and so I see there's three solutions right now. Two are low hanging and one is more long term. The long term one isn't actually that long term. We're working on it right now. That's the get more people in. But before we go and waste a bunch of money on marketing, let's get the onboarding correct. Let's make sure that the retention is there. And speaking of retention, that goes to the second thing we could do, besides bots. That's obviously one of them. Is how how do we get the current player base that already exists to play more or to want to play more? I think that's the key question. Want to play more. So if they're playing, because right now the initial changes to the league revamp are very fundamental in nature. We're just trying to get the basic foundation established, right? And I think we've come a long way in doing that. But essentially, that's why I keep championing both in Discord here or in internal meetings. The team's tired of hearing me say it. I'm positive they're tired of hearing me say, we got to add meta, guys. We got to add meta to rank play. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we can pull it off, because if we can add that meta, and when I say meta to rank play, I mean that there's always a golden carrot dangling in front of you, just out of reach. Like there's this goal or objective that every time you log in, it's like right there in front of you. And if you just do a little bit more, buy a few more cards, play a few more battles, do a little bit more of something, then you could grab that carrot. And getting that carrot is so fulfilling, so satisfying, that when the next golden carrot immediately appears, you're like, you know what? I want that one too. And if we can dangle those carrots in different ways, right? So it's not always the same thing. Win a battle, get my carrot. Win a battle, get my carrot. I mean, I want to make it so that, hey, if I can just get to the next league tier, if I can get from silver 3 to silver 2, there's a carrot right there. I want to grab it. And then if I can somehow, once we reintroduce a focus mission system for daily quests, if you will, if I can just finish those quests, I get another carrot. And if I can do XYZ at the end of the season, I'll get another carrot. Like I want to start introducing more and more carrots at different layers and levels in different ways, so that it's everywhere you turn, there's something new to try or new to do, and you regret walking away from the computer. Like right now, you might be like, yeah, it's time I stop. That's enough battles, and you walk away. I want to make it so that you never want to walk away. That it's a real there's this hesitancy, like this certain degree of FOMO if you walk away. Like, oh, but if I just get that carrot, there's this cool thing in the shop that unlocks. If I do X number of battles in modern, this thing will unlock. And then if I can get that, then I could do this. And then I could get to the next league tier and I'll get that. Like I want all people to always be motivated and incentivized to always go up, 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 push higher, 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 higher. The second that you're not like freaking out, the second you feel satisfied, the second you feel like, yeah, that's good enough. Okay, we failed. We failed in designing the system properly. That's my opinion. So I think there's we've come a long way, but I think there's still a ways to go. So if you guys have ideas, then keep them coming. Throw them in the UX. Say what you feel in the survey that's been shared. That kind of stuff. So crap, I've been rambling and talking too much.
A couple more questions to get through.
Yeah, the point being is that liquidity could be assisted or helped at least by a certain degree by just people playing more, right? And we can make people want to play more if we kind of make some tweaks along the way. All right, removing penalty for low level cards. What was the reason for removing penalty for low level cards? Can we have it back? If we would still have it, bot issues would be mostly over, and we probably not need bandages like CP requirements. What did Matt have to say about that?
His answer was, yes, I believe that this is a much better solution than the current anti-bot proposals, and has commented as such on proposals. I think it should be for wild only, though.
All right. Any other amendment to that, Harry?
I haven't read the full question. Basically, just putting back in a low card penalty.
All right. I mean, if that's simple answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure it should be wild only, but I guess if we really want to incentivize people to play modern, it could be
All
more
right.
work to splits things out. But
What do we got? Validators. It was stated that validators would be an important pillar for a tier one centralized exchange listing. The argument was that with the current setup across Hive and Binance Smart Chain, the distribution of the SPS token, as well as the total circulating supply, is not easily accessible, and validators would solve this. Please elaborate how. We would still have the cross-chain complex. I could keep going on this, but well, first of all, before you answer, I will say that have you ever seen a more intelligent, well-versed, savvy community as we have? Like some of the questions that we get are so so complex that you really got to marvel at the brain size of our community. So, but yeah, go ahead. What did Matt have to say about validators?
he said, yes and no. I don't expect we will get a tier one centralized exchange listing in either case. And to be clear, centralized exchange listings are not his goal. He's focused on making the best product possible, and he believes that Hive is currently the best way for us to do that. Like it or not, the game runs on Hive, and so if the tokens are primarily on another chain, it makes things very difficult for players as they would have to manage things across two very different chains. Since the game is on Hive and the token needs to be run on Hive, the tokens need to be on Hive to be easily usable in the game. And right now, they are run by a proprietary, closed, mostly centralized system. Matt believes it is imperative for many reasons to have the SPS token and eventually all assets operated by a public, open source, decentralized system on Hive as soon as possible. Ultimately, the best chance we have of getting listings is by having a great product with lots of users and value. And yeah, I mean, the company is not the ones pursuing listings. That is something that the DAO would be pursuing. So we are trying to make the game and the assets around the game work in a decentralized fashion. Clay is already trying to make progress on getting us our tokens listed, or the SPS tokens listed. I guess they're not ours; they're the DAO's tokens.
Yeah. All right. So, and only indirectly related to that question, I would say that whenever I talk to PJ, and it's possible that we've changed gears a little bit since the last time I talked to PJ, but and PJ is the CTO of the company, by the way, guys. For those of you who didn't know, so PJ seems to imply that yeah, there is value in trying to bridge more chains, and as far as I'm aware, like whenever the opportunity presents itself, we do have resources devoted to that. I don't know about like right this second, but I mean, every time it gets brought up, he's like, "Yeah, we definitely want more bridges," and I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want more bridges too." I mean, whether or not we stay on Hive or don't stay on Hive, I think that essentially, uh, the blockchain's a database, right? Who cares about the database? You don't play a game and say, "Hey, what where your servers are they using AWS or what's going on?" Like gamers don't care. On the other hand, we're in the unique Web3 crypto blockchain space where people do care, because that's where their bags are being held. And if more is overlapping with the chain where their bags are already being held, it not only makes it for a more fluid experience to onboard new users from that chain, but it also makes them happy because it feels like that their bags are going to go up from interacting with this game. So I would say that it's not the same thing, but bridges do bring a lot of value that maybe could be that hybrid solution to kind of appease the most amount of people, where we can have our cake and eat it too, have all the benefits of Hive, but as long as we remain as chain agnostic as possible and make as many Hive, not as many bridges as possible, whether it's to base Solana, or any EVM compatible chain, any Ethereum virtual machine chain, then then we start connecting with those communities. Once we make the bridge, we communicate, we come in and we say, hey guys, we're here to join the party. You want to join our party? We built a bridge. It goes both ways. Let's go. And I think there's a lot of marketing potential there, if we leverage those bridges properly, and we create the UI design properly as well, so that it's we still use Hive, but we don't make it all about Hive. Like we give equal weight and value to the other chains that you could link to from your settings or your wallet or whatever from within the game. I don't know. I just see a lot of potential there. I think it's going to be cool, if we can keep making those bridges like PJ seems to imply we will. Have you heard anything about that from PJ about the bridges?
So we have a lot more work than we have developers. So bridges were going to be a priority at one point before we decided that the new player experience was going to be a priority.
Yeah.
That's not to say that all work is stopped on them. I think it's mainly just PJ looking more into maybe pools at this point. Though it's also I think a Clay and PJ probably initiative at this point. Not to say we don't have in our backlog of things to do, like fix our OpenSea bridge so that you can actually move assets back and forth there again. Potentially look at bridging to some other NFT platforms. But those things take time. They need to be prioritized. And after Matt took over, those were not his priorities. So they are currently on the back burner for the main development team, for now, anyways.
All right, super duper.
I want to get tech monetization done. That's like 2 years past due.
Yeah. So in other words, we want to do it. It's important to us. It's on the radar, but we only have so many resources. So we're just trying to prioritize as best we can. But
we can only shovel so much stuff through at a time.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be there. I don't know about the rest of you in the community, but I'm definitely going to be there looking for an opportunity to get another bridge. And then, we got to do this other thing. We got a promo event, more cards to do. Okay, let's work on that. And then as soon as we're done, hey, can we do one more bridge? And then do another bridge. And then over time, I want you guys to open up that link your wallet screen and just like it's just like we're just like got bridges everywhere. Like I want to be that central hub of Web3 gaming, where no matter what chain you're on or where you hold your bags, there's an incentive and motivation for you to come over and look at Splinterlands and participate in the ecosystem. So did Matt look at the suggestions or just the questions?
He did answer a bunch of other questions that don't look like they're on the sheet. I'm not sure if they're from the suggestions. Yeah, he did answer some of these. So the +3 bonus.
Okay, so did he pick and choose, or did he?
Well, if you want to go through them, I can see if they match up to something, or we could just talk about them real quick. I know we're getting kind of towards the end of time, but
yeah, that's true. Just go ahead and zip through whatever you're seeing.
Okay, so there was a question or a suggestion about giving cards a +3% bonus as each set gets retired to wild. Matt said it's not a bad idea. He hasn't really thought about how he wants to give older cards a bonus, but he'll put it on his list of ideas to consider. Splitting energy between modern and wild. Matt said he definitely does not want to do that because then players will feel required to spend all their energy in both leagues every day. So basically, we'd be forcing people to feel that they have to double the amount of matches they play, or they're losing on earning potential. Reset everyone to 1,000 rating points. He's not sure how that really solves bot's problem or anything else with SPS. He might need more details on the thought process. We've discussed battle passes at length. I guess there's a tag in there about battle passes. At the moment, he thinks our player base that would purchase a battle pass is too small to make it worthwhile for us to spend the time developing it. There are better things that we can focus on to help get more players into the game at this time. Oh, here's the bot question, answered in a different spot. Yes, we're playing scale up. We're waiting to see. We're not really waiting to see on this one. It's just that about 1,000 other things are going on. It takes work to set up accounts and get them going. We're also working on more ways to encourage players to move from wild to modern. And I think promo cards. There's a question if there's going to be another promo card for SPS stakers. We're not planning to do that. That was the result of the governance proposal. So if players would like to see another promo card for SPS stakers, they're welcome to submit a governance proposal, but it would need to include a payment to the team to build and run the promo sale. There was a question about, do we think we should add a town square format? Basically a 1 hour more casual Q&A session. Matt said maybe we could do something like an office hours where he's available and active in Discord for a specific time frame. Live video events like this are a lot of work. And let's see, there's a question about why not use ghost cards for the free-to-play accounts. They're for the liquidity bots. Kind of what I talked about earlier, they wouldn't be competitive enough in modern with just starter cards, and we don't want to make an exception for these to have higher level cards for free. We're trying to make all these accounts play by the rules of the game. And I think that was most of it. There was another CP limitation suggestion. He suggested Matt's thinks it would be better to go with the min card level limits instead of CP base rewards on the level of cards rather than some random collection that's a number that's unrelated to the battle that you're playing. And a number of these he just responded with make a DAO proposal.
All right. So we got through that. That leaves us with 16, 17 minutes. If now Harry and I weren't really expecting many people to ask us much since we're not Matt. But if you either A, have a question that we can reasonably answer with confidence and not feel like, that's a Matt question, or if you have a request. Now, if you have a request for me to share eye candy or something, then sure. If I can, I will. If I have something handy and I can really hunt it down real quick and share it real quick, then I will. So I guess we can. What do you think, Harry? Just unleash the floodgates for 10 minutes or whatever and see what happens. And if no one has questions, we'll just end it. But yeah, I'd say see if people have stuff. I see people typing, but I don't know if they're asking questions.
I'm trying to check the.
That's a Gator question.
There's a question: are we going to Highfest in Croatia this year? I am personally not. I don't know about you, Nate.
I want to. When it was announced, I immediately. First of all, I'm an idiot. I had to go look on the map to see where the hell it was. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. That'd be a cool place to go. But then there's there's obviously time and finances involved, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to go. I haven't heard from Matt or the rest of the team as to whether it would be cool to go, but I don't know. I have to talk to the
don't know if Matt is planning to attend.
Check our bank account. All right, let's see. Oh, okay. Gator what will be your next big project once you get tech modernization finished?
Well, that'll be up for Matt to decide, but we've got all the stuff that they talked about. So once we get the client moved over, we have the whole idea of adding uh, avatars and customizable, personalized, customizable avatars. I would like to get the skins fixed. I know that that's kind of in part being held up from the battles not being moved over to tech modernization, because I believe we've got a big backlog of design skins that we can start making available. Um, there's there's a lot of projects in our backlog, but those are things I would like to get skins fixed and up again, so we can offer those as Glen Shop rewards and maybe leaderboard rewards, or
Yeah. No, skins is a big one. And surprisingly, for those of you who participate in the previous survey from support, a part of that survey was absolutely pleasantly shocking to me. Um, I think it was, what kind of rewards do you want to see in leaderboard prize stuff? And the one there was a huge list. There's like a huge list. You want SPS, you want DEC, you want Glint, you want this, you want that. Like there's a huge list of all these things. And the one that was most requested was exclusive skins. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like without the caveat of, oh, well, you better add utility to these skins, or these skins better give me more earnings or something. No, it was just more skins the way they work now in the game, which is just cosmetic. And we're like, when we were looking at that in the meeting, we're like, none of us would have guessed that this would be the top selection for our player base. Like what? So, so that I think that has influenced Matt's thinking or perspective on skins in general, and some of the other team members as well. Like, hey, let's maybe this should slowly rise to the surface. And don't get me wrong, when we reintroduce skins into the game again, I am dead set on I don't want to introduce skins without some sort of meta, some sort of benefit or utility or something that they're not just a social flex and easy on the eyes or cool to have, which they are all those things, but I want them to be a little extra umph to them. And I don't know, we're looking at our options as to what that looks like. And Joey's been a champ. Joey has been, he's our narrative lead, and he has worked tirelessly to a huge degree. He has spreadsheets and pages of documents and all kinds of stuff outlining all the different ways we could utilize, add the meta that we want so badly to skins and that kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes.
I'll give my own brief additional reply. I know we're getting. So I'm not the one that's necessarily doing all tech modernization. We've got our team of developers who I feel like we should probably give a shout out to. Mancio is pretty much the one leading tech modernization with a lot of help from Antioch. The rest of the development team, we've got Call Me Tim, Melon Man, Cryptomancer, who I think most people know. There's also Revdy, Slapshot, and Butcherblock, who a lot of the team doesn't get necessarily onto town halls or into Discord and chat, but there's a lot of people involved in getting the game updated and moving things along. Okay, next question is one for you.
Clayboyne, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good was our hug, Nate? So I'm assuming he means at Splinterfest. So I would say it was very warm, very happy, but also terrifying, because I know he could have broke me like a twig if he so chose. So yeah, big. That's an 11, an 11 on the scale. So if you get a chance to ever hug Clayboyne in real life, then take advantage. And accept the hug. Let's see. Silence is asking, when's the next Splinterfest? So speaking of Splinterfest, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we all want another one, of course. Okay, want in a Splinterfest was a lot of work. Trying to make that happen was a lot of work. There was a little bit of stress and anxiety for the team, but ultimately getting chance to meet all the players in person and high five each other and scream Vonak at each other. In fact, I went around and recorded. I said, "Hey, Vonak," and then people, like groups of people, shouting "Vonak," and I would record it, and I'd go around the whole event doing that, and I still have recordings of players shouting "Vonak," which is really cool to see. Um, so yeah, I unfortunately we don't have any specifics on when that will actually happen. But in the interim, I do want to point out this month is our 6-year anniversary as a company. There's a lot to celebrate for that. Um, if Matt had shown up, I was going to ask him while we were on our mic check time before the town hall starts. I was going to ask him about reward prizes and stuff, because even though we're not doing the thing internal in the game like a promo event where you could buy a special card or whatever, um, Asaria will be going on social media. So if you're not following Splinterlands on social media yet, then I encourage you follow Splinterlands, because we will be trying to celebrate the 6-year anniversary via social media, even though it's not from the website itself. And we're gonna figure out a way to reward participants in some way. So keep track of that. I know that. In fact, I think. Sorry, did you DM me a link? Let me see.
There
Uh,
is a link in Discord.
oh, okay. So if Asari already shared it, there it is. Okay, Rondon. Okay, so perfect. So take a look at that. Follow Splinterlands. Vonak. What do we got? Question: Land eye candy, please. So that's not really a question; it's more of a demand, but I'll accept it. Um, Land. Let me find something land related, real quick. How about a couple buildings I haven't shared yet? So here is um let's do storage, because I don't think I've shared storage yet. I've shared other kind of buildings, but I haven't shared any storage unit. And who says that storage has to be boring? Storage can be cool. It can be cool to see this silo building rising up towards the sky on your land plot, and go Lord Farquaad on it and have this huge tower to be like, whoa, that overshadows everything in the land. I mean, that's cool too. So here's a granary where I believe you store grain. And just to add a little spice, I'm sorry, it cropped a little bit. I didn't get the whole building in there, but you can imagine little parts that got cropped off. Here is an elixir vat. Um, that looks pretty cool. So if you guys have been following the town halls and seen previous buildings, I think that it's going to be cool to visit people's plots and see the huge variety of architecture and just all the different building types and how they look so dramatically different from one another. I think it's going to be cool once this all gets rolled out. But yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of land building artwork alpha for you. Question: Any current plans to introduce achievements? That's a very good question. Achievements has been on our radar for years now. Like I think it was as early as year 2. So back in 2019, 2020 at the latest, where internally we were talking about achievements and what that would look like. And I think I even prototyped a little bit of the UI of what an achievement system would start to look like back then. Since then, achievements has been off and on again, something that gets batted around as an idea that I think we all want. The real problem is it always never quite makes it to the top of the priority list, but it's always on the radar. So, um, so take that as you will. I know that recently, Joey actually proposed, that an achievement system that would be baked into the all kinds of stuff that we're working on for reintroducing a new focus system and skins and this and that. And like he went crazy. He went beautiful mind on this thing. And but yeah, I mean, so many team members want to see achievements come back. And I agree. I think it's part of that golden carrot, like always trying to strive to do a little bit more, not just in ranked play. Like, you know, we could have achievements across the board for brawls and tournaments and freaking conflicts and land. And there's so many things we could have achievement for, and that would incentivize people to go try things that they haven't tried yet. And the more they try, like it could be a SPS liquidity pool. Oh, that looks scary, but there's an achievement for it. So I think I'm going to dip my toe in the water. And then, you know, the more they dip their toes in different parts that they've been ignoring up till now, it could be tournaments. Maybe you love rank play, but you're just like, I'm not going to worry about tournament. But if there was an achievement for it, would you do it? If there was an achievement for brawls, would you join a guild? Would you stop being so lonely in the dark corner and go socialize a little bit? So I think that's a good thing. I think achievement at face value is like, how much bang for the buck is there? I think if you dig deeper, there's a lot of value for achievements. We just got to figure out the right time to do it. Hopefully by the end of this year, we have a plan for it. Question: can the UI on mobile be updated to pin the match timer during scrolling? I agree. I tried playing mobile. I think it's a lot better than it was, but you're right. The timer disappears. I'm like, oh my God, I got to scroll all the way back to the top to see how much time I have left.
Put as a suggestion in the UX channel or spam support ticket so that it gets passed along.
But no argument there. It's not a question of if we should do it. It's a question of when are we going to do it, as far as I'm concerned. So I say, if it's not already in our project management test, then we should add it and get it handled. I agree.
Intrepid Surfer is the next question about burning cards for skins.
Yeah. Could we burn
cards? That could be a thing we do. We will probably discuss it with Matt and see if there's any desire on his part to do a card burn for unique skins event or something. But
all right, I agree. Anytime we can create an aspect of deflationary burning, make things disappear from the ecosystem, rise values across the board for different assets. I mean, yeah, sure. Let's see. Question: Bjangles. We saw that the Izzyar skin way back when. Will the Soulbound card skins be released when they get unlocked? So again, skins. Whenever a new character is made, we also make a skin for it. So you're right. There's a lot of skins that are just sitting in a box. So what Harry said earlier is correct. We have to get the skin system back and working. And then once that's done, then we have to figure out okay, before we release all these skins we've been working on, what's the meta associated with these skins? Because I want them to be successful. I want people to really want them, not a tiny segment of the player base who likes artwork or likes the lore. I want everybody to be chomping on the bit for skins, even if they don't normally like cosmetics, because of this meta layer of gameplay that is introduced with the skins. I think if we can launch it properly, skins will be such a huge success to the point where they will rival the character cards themselves in terms of what I want to do with my glint or my vouchers or whatever. So yeah, I'm with you. Did anyone talk about whether we get daily end of season chests back, even if it's just glint or other soulbound stuff? Well, I mean, we're already giving it end of season.
We did talk about different ideas for how to reward daily and regular play. We talked about having some sort of daily chest, but at this point, there's no immediate plans on what we're going to implement. I know Nate's got some longer term plans for making a new focus system that has rewards and kind of rewards continued play, as he was talking about earlier. I think that was the end of questions. There was a couple on YouTube, Twitch that got streamed by. One of them was asking if the next update will fix some of the sound effect timers on battles.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
should hopefully it will move the notification sound effects back on the notification volume instead of being on the music volume. So that should be fixed with the next update.
Well, on
If there's
top of
any,
that, I wanna interject that the new navigation that we're designing out, when it finally launches someday, we do intend, at least on the creative side, we'll see what Harry and engineering say when we throw this in their lap. But right now in the designs, we have it to where um, every Harry's gonna. I'll look at your face while I'm talking, Harry, so I know whether this is even doable or not. But essentially, we have it designed out right now to where no matter what screen you're on in the website, you click on this little icon in the nav, and there's a little slider, so that on the you don't have to go to your settings to change all the pages on the freaking website. You can, while you're right there in real time, click, slide it down, slide it up, and then continue on with your day. And so I think that would be cool. I guess we'll see when the time comes whether that's possible. But I want to make sure that um, on the fly in real time, people have an easy click method to enjoying the music or turning it off if they need to. So
yeah, we do need to make some UI improvements for that. I know there's a couple other things that are pretty high on our priority list, like turning potions on and off per opening for your draws is up there on things we want to implement. We've got a pretty long list of things we'd like to do, but a lot of the good quality of life suggestions we are going to try to get in as soon as we have some bandwidth to.
yeah.
Can't scroll back on the YouTube questions, so that was the only one I caught. And
All
we
right.
are, I think, at time.
So I would say that yeah, thank you so much for all the questions. I didn't know if there would be any questions for us, so that was fun. I don't know about you, Harry, but I like hearing questions that I can answer, um, rather than watch Matt answer all the questions, and just sit there for the an hour, just just trying to. I can't eat or drink all. I don't know. All right. So before we count off, let me see if there's anything. I don't know. End with a bang, right? There's a lot of different stuff that I can share. We
Okay.
talked about. How about
Thank
this?
the community for attending, and thank all the streamers that hopefully we gave some content to. I know a lot of them are attending right now. P Jangles, P Silence. Let's see who else streams. Steve Rady 2, Baby Omega. I'm gonna screw up the name. Buns, Bags, and Caps. So thanks to all the streamers out there who showcase the game. Thank everybody for attending. Nate, anything you want to end?
Uh,
And I
yeah.
apologize
Here's.
if I missed
I,
any streamers. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head here.
I just want to end here. I'll give you guys a wallpaper to whet your appetites for the next conflict, which has the cryptic summoner. Um, please enjoy the cutscene that we love making for you guys. I hope you guys like the cutscenes. It kind of gives you an idea of where I want to see more of this stuff going with the game. I want it to be more interactive. I want player versus environment mode. I want story mode. I want and it starts with the little tiny things we're doing with conflict. So if you like what you see there, then and I love the fact that this is custom made. You could tell this isn't some AI generated random freaking artwork. The artists go and take the narrative designer's direction, and you look in the corner and you see the mage wagons. So if you look at the mage wagons, you see one of these guys, right? You see the little here's another mage wagon graphic. Um, and if you guys never saw this one, this is what's inside the mage wagons, right? You have the little the floaty orb, magical orb, um, that you see on land. The first slot in land is you gotta, put in this orb of power that powers up your cards, and they're spinning around in this wagon. And it's from within the wagon that these cards manifest these illusions that become physical and are able to wage war and battles and do things as long as they stay within close proximity of the wagon. So I think it's cool that the artwork has the wagon, but as you look up top, you'll notice that you see the banner of the dry bone anarchists. And I don't know about you, there's some cards currently that you guys are playing with that are, if you read the lore, they're part of this faction, this splinter known as the dry bone anarchists. And so when you look at some of the environment artwork, the wallpaper artwork, just know that there's a lot of love and attention that goes into some of the details that you're not going to get with an AI generated whatever. Yeah. And as we steer the game towards a more polished, immersive experience, I think that it's just going to be cool. It's going to be cool to feel like you're actually entering this world of Praetoria and what that means for you as a player who's chosen a race to be in, and change your looks and what you're called. And I can only imagine where it goes from there. I think it's gonna be cool. I can't wait. So thank you so much, guys, for being part of the community. Thank you for sticking around, even without Matt being here. You guys are here to support us, and we really, really appreciate it. So we want to support you back, and that's what we plan on doing right after this town hall is over. We're gonna rush into meetings and start trying to figure out how to give more value to your assets and more entertainment to your gameplay.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And I believe Matt should be back on the next town hall in 2 weeks. And have a good day or night, as the case may be.
This is a story.